Expressions in Cherwell are a powerful construct and they're critical to system functionality, whether or not they are associated with a particular object. So there's a number of examples of expressions that we can build that aren't in a particular object association, like incident or change request. And this is simply what's called expressions that exist in the none context. Hi there, I'm Jonathan Berdyck, Senior Solutions Consultant and Architect with Excalibur Data Systems, and today we're going to go over expressions that have no object association. So you might want to create these kinds of expressions for a number of reasons. One, you really want access to them apart from any particular object association without replicating the same expression over and over and over again. But two, you might come up with situations where there really is no need for an expression to be directly associated with an object, or that it would just simply be a better fit apart from a specific association. So obviously these will only get you so far, but a few nice universal items, and there's some great ones even out of the box, will go a long way to support decreasing development time and maintenance effort. Now you can get to expressions a couple different ways, through a blueprint, for example, but you can also do it directly through the administrative client or even indirectly in support of searches and widgets and metrics, things like that, in the rich client. We're going to do this through the admin client today. And so what we're going to do is head over to the categories section, and we'll make sure that we select settings here, and then we'll find the stored expression manager. The dialog box pops up. It often has an association. Typically it's with incident, but we'll scroll to the top, select none, make sure we're in the global folder, and then we will be able to see the default content that's available with the system. So a number of really nice examples here, current day, current date, day and date, yesterday's date, first of the month, that sort of thing. So if we were to actually just look at, say, first of the month, you can see that this expression is using the date time editor with the date time math expression type, and it's referencing the current date and time on the left side of what is really, there's no operator in this sense, but it's using the first of the month sort of built in attribute, so to speak, within Cherwell to actually find the first of the month based on the current date and time. So we could actually create this a little bit differently. By selecting the text editor, then selecting one of the core system attributes to get us started. So if we were to right click for the context menu in the expression editor, we find the system functions and we look for current date and time. And then once that's populated, we would right click again. We would look for the modifier selection in the context menu, and we would add a modifier to this, of which then, because this is a date time field or a date time system function, it's going to know which functions are most applicable for this. So we can see under the modifier for the format, we have any number of selections: first of the month, week and year, last of the month, week and year. We could select first of the month, click OK. Now you have to go back to the modifiers again if you were to want to know how it was being constructed, but there you go, that's your first expression in the none context. Now another popular one is to designate or evaluate whether the current user of the system is a member of a particular team. So again, we would just create a new expression. User is member of, well, let's say the IT management team. And we can keep the editor as a logical expression. And so the value system function, again, we'll use on the left side of the operator would be, in this case, a couple of ways to do this, but we'll do current user record ID. The operator would be this one called is member of team. And then in the value section, we really could do this a number of different ways. So in order for the system to be able to really recognize this well, we don't have this typically only works with the identifier for the team. So I've gone ahead and found the ID of the IT management team. And it could be as simple as pasting that value right into the expression. You could also do something where instead of pasting it right into here, you could use a stored expression. I already have a stored expression called IT management team, but I'll show you what this looks like. We've just created a text stored value and pasted the ID right into the stored value and saved that down. Clicked OK, and now we can reference simply the stored value. So this might not necessarily be, you could go one way or the other here, I think, for this, but sometimes this is better to, this might be a slightly more elegant way to pull that off. A big one that is used a lot in probably every Cherwell system is the required field border color. So we're working in incident or change or some other object, and we want, if the field for our purposes is required and the field is empty, we want to provide a visual indicator to the user that they need to fill that out. So we can do that with an expression that will satisfy most of the requirements, not specifically all of them, in an expression that we can typically call required field border color. Now this one will be a case statement because we want to be able to evaluate certain conditions and then apply a parameter or a value to that particular piece. So we could, again, refer to our trusty system functions. This time, though, we can refer to a couple of options here, either associated field value or associated field value is required. For simplicity, we'll simply select this. Associated field value and the operator is empty. So the field doesn't have anything in it yet, and we can make this then the color by checking off the color. So the control turns to the color selector. We can hit the paint roller, and we could actually select from any number of things, but I will select actually a color here that should be in the list. Or maybe it's under system. Form control required field border. It doesn't have to be that. It could be any color you want, but often it's the ones that are default as part of the theme. So we have our first case associated. If the field is empty, then it's going to be, the border is going to be this color, but the default would be maybe something like form control border color. And so there it pops in there. So certainly you could make this a little bit more complex. And there are situations where this won't work, like sometimes for a related item picker. But generally this will take you a long way and probably cover 90 or 95% of your needs. So saving that down. There's already one in the system, I guess, so we'll save that, and now we'll have that. So we could reference this from a variety of different places in the system as we work. Lastly, I'll just show you one that already exists that is immensely valuable, and that one is called system state email. So what this expression allows us to do is designate the particular mail sender depending on whether the system is marked as the development system or test, or versus it's marked as production. So oftentimes we'll have a test mailbox and a production mailbox, and we'll want to run our validation of mail out of either one of those depending on the current system. So this again uses a case statement similar to the one that we just constructed. However, it's referencing a stored value in the environment called current system, and then it's just looking to see whether or not what the value is. In this case, if it's production, then we are going to actually use an additional stored value called current system production email sender. Then we have one for the development environment. So if the current system equals dev, then we use the dev email sender stored value. So you're getting these email addresses from the configuration that you put in for the email accounts. You just copy the email address, paste it over here, then you can have that. The default doesn't have a default, but you might want to actually put that in. Then that covers any particular situation. Maybe if, for example, the current system stored value was erased accidentally, you'd have a bit of an issue. So sometimes we would actually put in the stored value here, maybe in production, the current system production email sender. So that is probably belt and suspenders, so to speak, but provides some added protection and gives you a little bit of an option there going forward. So there you have it, why you would want to create expressions in the none context, and then a few focused use cases. Certainly haven't hit the end of the possibilities there. So I hope this has proved valuable to your growth in Cherwell development and maintenance. So with that, have a great day.